Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I'm Santiago Ramones. Across from me is...
Hey, Xantheartist, stage name Xantheartist. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm doing awesome.
That's great, man. I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Thank you so much for being here on the recommendation of Jarvix. And
big ups to Jarvix out there, man. I appreciate you, dude. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. So to start, as always, who are you? What do you do?
Xantheartist, as I said before, I am a alternative musician based out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Yeah. What is alternative nowadays?
So I guess everybody, has their own definition. For me, alternative is experimental. That definitely, I have sounds that are familiar. I do, a lot of us have similar experiences, but, experimental to the point where I don't like to limit myself to one genre of music. I don't like to say that I'm a pop artist or I'm a rapper or anything, because I feel like mentally that can put you in a box where you can't really expand and see what else you can come up with, what fourth, fifth, sixth idea, as opposed to the first one that pops up. So alternative, I think, just going against the grain, definitely different, but at the same time needed because people are bored.
Yeah. Well, and also it's a really good thing that, the artist is, it's not exclusive to...
It's universal.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, and even it's not exclusive to music. So in what ways are you an artist?
I'm actually a Kung Fu practitioner. I have a brown sash in Kung Fu and I have 2 black belts under it. So we're both a little bit nerdy over here. Avatar: The Last Airbender, he does Bagua Zhan. One of my black belts is in Bagua. So I've been doing that for about 7 going on 8 years now. And then Xingyi Chuan is the purest form of boxing. So Bagua teaches you footwork. Xingyi teaches you actually how to fight. And then Tai Chi is the last one I'm learning right now to finish up, where I get my black sash in Kung Fu, which equates to 3 black belts. And Tai Chi teaches you about softness and, absorbing, going with something. Exactly. Absorbing, going with the flow, and then returning, equal or greater force back to your opponent. So, artist in that aspect. Love to paint, love, definitely creative type. Even within music, I'm not going to say I'm like a guitar player, pianist, but I am proficient in both guitar and piano. I can set up, play chords. I produce my own beats. All that, composer, arrangement is probably my forte in all my musical abilities. On top of that, songwriter, so an artist really is encompassing of anything that forces you to test the boundaries of your mind, for sure.
How did you first get started in music?
I've been in music my whole life. So I would say 5-6 years old, at school choir and things like that. And, growing up religious, parents, church, singing and things like that. And it translated over. I played viola a little bit, didn't really stick with it as a kid, but I was gravitated, more towards the singing side of it. So, as I, got older, I was always in choir, always, doing things. And when I got to high school is really where it blossomed for me, where, I was considered, 2004 to 2008, considered the best second alto in the state of North Carolina. Different school districts wanted me to come out and have my parents transfer me so I could sing for them. Competitions, won a lot of first place medals, ensembles, did show choirs, musicals, always on the stage. So I've always done that in that aspect for sure. So it's always kind of been with me. And then I would say about 3.5 years going on is when I'm like, okay, I want to make my own music. And that's when I became a music artist, I guess a recording artist at that point, Yeah.
So, I mean, this is something, because I grew up doing all those things as well, Absolutely. Doing musicals and show choir, and I was also in band. And so all those things. And once you get into doing like contemporary music as opposed to like that sort of rigid classical style. So I guess once you got into contemporary music, how did you balance the two?
It's honestly still a struggle to this day, because we learn how to sing technically well, like you're supposed to do this and X, Y, and Z. So but the contemporary side comes with like, I guess, the soul of the music. So actually bring like, okay, now I have my own swagger. So it's really hard finding that balance of when am I supposed to go, very technical, and when am I supposed to, kind of freestyle what I'm doing. So I think you kind of understand it's always going to be a struggle where I'm going too much of one way, trying too hard to compensate one way or another. So I mean, I still, honestly, that's still a thing, but it's definitely coming just to the more music you put out, you start to find what works for you. You've gone through, thousands of hours, invest thousands of hours in music, and you take, maybe 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, and you piece something together that you're happy with. So I think, through repetition, everything in life, through repetition, you just start to find your own flow where you don't really know where that, tipping point came, but it just kind of just becomes one for you. Yeah.
What was your first song that you wrote?
It was called Ayo, and it's actually not even under Xantheartist. It's under 405 was my first original name, but it was just too hard for people to figure out because I did, Oklahoma zip code's 405, but it was XERO, and I was trying to be too clever, and people just really couldn't pronounce it. But so I'm like, we're just gonna toss that out. But it was called Ayo, and it is it's something for sure. But I think that honestly was a humbling moment for me too. I mean, it's out there. I'll show it to you. I'm not ashamed of anything I've done because I've grown so much since it. But it was one of those where, I think every time like you start to become a recording artist, you're like, my music's the shit. I'm about to drop this one song. It's about to blow up. We're going to Billboard. We're doing all this. First song, drop it. And like, I go back and listen to it now. I'm like, bruh, but it was just, very basic. I hadn't got into songwriting at that point. Wardell Wilson, definitely somebody I think you should link with. I think you would, enjoy him very well. We're very similar in our inspirations, but he kind of taught me from, the mixing side, the songwriting side, everything, where I don't just have to sit here and rhyme, hop, pop, stop, just not basic rhyming schemes, which I really did in that song because, I just like, cool, this is, what I need to do. And from there, it humbled me to the point I'm like, this is not what I hear in my head. It's not the sound. I know what I'm trying to make, and I did not achieve it with this song. Yeah. So that was a crossroads for me when it was like, I think it was that point I was like, this is a career. It's not a hobby anymore. Yeah. So you definitely have to have that first crossroad where am I going to sit because I realize I'm going to have to put in time, hours. It's not going to be overnight. No, nothing happens overnight. Everyone blows up overnight in 5 years. Right. So it definitely, it humbled me. But at that time, it also made me realize that I need to calm down on the arrogance. I need to humble myself, and I need to learn from those that definitely know more than I do and what I'm trying to achieve for sure.
Yeah. What were your biggest influences as you were starting out? And then what are your biggest influences now?
So starting out, I would say, honestly, and some of my older stuff is more on the hip hop side. I've definitely, my sound is translated over the last year and a half. Like you can definitely hear like where my music's starting to go, definitely one way, as opposed to what I first started out with. Even Twisted Snare, my first song released under Xantheartist. But it was, I would say I was more influenced. I was like, okay, I need to be like, since, I'm black and blah, blah, blah. I need to, be more inspired by rappers. So I need to, sound like Kanye. And I do take inspiration. I love them. Their wordplay, Kanye, Jay-Z, Common, there's just so many people that I appreciate their wordplay, but I was trying to mimic them. But at the same time, I'm like, this is not the sound that I want to make, So fast forward a few years later, definitely more like everything. I've honestly been listening to everything for the last couple of years. And they're, I would say, even Block Party. I love them. It's always I say Block Party as a fan of music is my favorite band. Everything as a musical artist is my favorite band. It's hard for me to like, they're both my favorites for different, reasons. But I would say just because every track that they do it's conceptual to their sound, but it's so different. That's one thing. You can listen through every single song, everything has their whole catalog, which I do all the time. And you won't find one song that sounds like another, but their sound is, I still know who's singing it, Yeah. So they make such a universal sound where, the Get to Heaven album came out, over 10 years ago, I think. And it can sound like it put it in Puddle in Time. It sounds like it could have been released this year, And I think that, that album, honestly, every musician would inspire to make an album like that. There is not one. There are classics on that specific album, and there is not one bad song. There's not one like song like, oh, this makes me cringe. Like there's some are better, and some are the my favorites that I will play more often. But there's not one song that I will skip of theirs. So they're definitely my inspiration right now because they have that element that I'm definitely searching for.
Yeah, yeah. So then, what was your transformation from going 405 to Xan, and what inspired you, what pushed you to sort of reshape yourself as an artist in that way?
Gosh, I can't say when an exact moment is. I think when under 405, and I actually pulled the third song that I released because I'm like, I released it and I'm like, this is not what I expected my music to sound like, and I actually stepped away from even recording for probably 6 months or so to really step back and assess of like, and my buddy again, Wardell Wilson, he's been a true inspiration. So, definitely going to name drop him, but he has really made me realize that I can honestly do whatever I want. Like, if you like, he was like, you clearly keep going back to this rock sound, this grunge sound, this, I place you more on that. Even if, elements, I'm going to still have elements of hip hop because, I was influenced by it. But I realized I'm like, I want to do things that are not comfortable for me. If I'm not uncomfortable anytime I put a song out, and uncomfortable is good, like pain is bad, but uncomfortable just pushes you to your next level. There's a difference. I realized that I'm like, I really need to start talking about my story. No one wants to hear, about cars and women and girls, because you can pull up 10 million songs a day that talk about all those. People are looking for something different, and I want to hear something different. So if I can't find it, I need to create that sound. So I really had to like get to know myself, I guess, in a sense. Like, what am I trying to accomplish? Like, what story am I telling? Yeah, I have my struggles and pains and sadnesses in life, but there's definitely a fine balance of being arrogant and saying, X, Y, Z, listen to me, and the balance of like my story might help somebody that I may never know. This song may help somebody. So I'm like, I want to make music that can be dropped in a time capsule, and you can play it another day and it still works for that time frame where it's still relatable even 50 years down the line. So what I was doing was not that. Took a step back, started really working on my songwriting. I have notepads, but I probably have 100 songs that I've forgotten that I've written, just from making myself a better writer, just talking more about my feelings and getting more in touch with my my inner workings and what I want to being cool with feeling exposed, because I feel like every artist goes through that. Like anytime you drop a new song, it's like, oh, here's a piece of myself. I feel exposed, but it's getting past that. Like, I don't have anything to be ashamed of. This is my story, So I think when I had that realization where it's not about money, it's not about anything other than just doing something that I love. And hopefully, not, I can change the world. You can't fix the world, but you can always change the world. And what legacy am I going to leave once I'm gone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you are, to quote one of your songs, living your best life, like
living it. Yes, sir.
What are the things that you're proudest of in your music now?
Accolade wise, or like just like personally wise?
Yeah, just what you was like, oh man, I love this specific synth sound. I work really hard on it. It's like, yeah, just whatever.
That high, that ooh in Habsburg Lip. I'm proud that I hit that for sure. That was a beast of a note to nail. So absolutely proud, because that showed me like I have more power in my vocals than I realized. Still finding that confidence in my singing voice for sure. Ambient white light, honestly, songwriting to like vibe wise, I wouldn't say like, I think that's the best balance of a song that I've done personally. Like, everybody, the Let 'Em Know, Euphoric, or Habsburg Lip are really the songs that people tend, my most popular songs, whatever. But I think artistically, ambient white light, because I'm like, songwriting, it like you really, it's so weird because the first thing that comes before anything is the vibe of the sound that you're putting out. Words are like the last thing that you put out there. So what I wanted to do was create like a sunset vibe, like just a chill vibe. You know, I remember driving up Pacific Coast Highway growing up, and, you know, remember ocean water. You know, this is what I'm influenced by, that calmingness. So I want a song that I can imagine myself just cruising as the sun setting, and I'm like, words really don't matter. I want to create that vibe. I want to create that ambient vibe for sure. So, like I said, I'm not talking about anything deep. I'm talking about pulling out my driveway and driving. But, you know, I was able to make the feel of what I would like, a sunset. Like every time I hear it, I feel a sunset, and just the ambientness of it. I'm very proud of that one. That was the first song that I mixed on myself. So how it all bounced out, and, you know, I'm very proud of that single. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And there is a very different thing that, you know, whenever you're involved in every step of the process, you create every single sound, or you choose every single sound, you know, that is way different than, you know, going to someone's like, hey, like, make me a beat.
Exactly. And that was a hard thing for me, is because, you know, I've spent, like I'm telling you, I'm one of those, hand to God honest, I've put in thousands of hours of my music, thousands and thousands of hours, you know, every 5,000 hours makes you an expert in something. So I've put in a lot of time even before I started recording. So it's definitely I'm sorry, I got a little went down a different little rabbit hole right there. But it's one of those things that it really comes back to just what you put into it. Like, the universe honestly gives you what you put into something, you know, and it always, so like the work that you put in, the hours that you put in, you're going to get it back multiplied. And it's definitely, I probably, you know, completely detoured from that question, but that's where the brain, definitely my thought process went to it. But it's honestly like luck. There's no such thing as luck. Is anybody, 100% of musicians can make it. It's just 1% care enough to do it, you know? Sure, yeah, sure. For sure.
What, well, actually, just going, like, specifically technical, what DAW do you use?
Right now I use Soundtrap. This is an online application. I'm building my system on everything right now. Whenever I go to Lester Wardell's studio, we use Logic Pro and things like that. I typically do my mixes at home, and I send off my mastering right now to him to do that. But no, I definitely want to build, you know, all Apple product. And I definitely want to go ahead and start using the Logic program, because that's where I learned on. He taught me on, but I was able to translate that knowledge to something else where, you know, I'm able to work on the system that I'm using right now, and have, you know, it definitely don't have this dope setup yet, but this is definitely the goal. And then, you know, absolutely. But yeah, I use Soundtrap. It's a pretty cool online interactive. Like I use everything that I need. I can plug my mic, I can plug my my mini, you know, MPK pad in there, and, you know, make my beats and everything like that. So it definitely gives me everything that I need to work right now, but definitely expansion is in the future.
Yeah. And that's one of the coolest things, is that, like, technology allows us to do whatever we want. It doesn't matter. You don't have to, like, spend thousands of dollars to get, like, a Pro Tools rig. You can freaking use whatever you can to
Absolutely.
just make what you have to.
And that's, I think, the hardest part as a musician, is that when you first start Googling it, everyone's going to tell you that you need thousands and thousands I mean, yeah, eventually you will. It's going to accumulate up to that much, investing in yourself. But you don't need that just to start out. Like, it's either I'm going to pay someone to do it for me, or I'm going to figure out the skill to do it myself. So that exactly, I pay about a $10 right now subscription for what I need monthly. And it gives me everything I need. If I need loops, if I need something in there, but I have, you know, thousands of instruments at my disposal. I can sit there, different synths. I can tweak any little thing. I can sit there and mix in the processor, excuse me. So yeah, literally $10 a month, and people can make their own beats, you know?
Yeah. And you don't have to throw down freaking a car payment to make it.
Exactly. Make enough music where the streams will come in. You can invest your money back into getting the system, which is kind of my my logic right now with it. I'm like, I can create this $10 a month, but, you know, streams over time, you have enough of a library, people are going to stream your music. It's just, you know, it's just simple, you know, law of numbers right there. The more music you have out, the more streams you're going to get, you know?
Yeah. What is a sort of deep or nitty gritty thing in your songs that you are proud of, or is, like, you know, cutting edge or something that, yeah, it's probably no one's gonna hear it, but you know it's there and you're really proud of it?
That's a hard one. I would say one thing that I don't do consciously, but like I realized it the other day, is that I tend to have parts of my songs. It doesn't matter how lyrical or whatever. I intentionally leave space for like you be able to pick up this like a chant or like a mantra within every song that I do. There's some sort of a mantra, where this can be the first time you hear it, and by minute two, like okay, I know what's about to happen right here, and I do that because everybody likes to feel included in something. So if like I could be performing my song for the first time, and it might be the first time you hear it, and everybody else knows it. After a certain point, you can catch on, and it's gonna not only that, it also sticks in people's heads. It's those things that I've had a few songs that people tell me like this song has been stuck in my head for like the last 3 days. I'm like, dope, I did my job because it's just that little part, that people can hold on to and go back and listen to the rest of the song. So that is one thing that I'm proud of. That I think I'm onto something right there.
Why music? Why not anything else?
Because my primitive instincts didn't tell me to do anything else but music. It's like I was called and I listened to what the universe was telling me to do. And you always know you're in your correct path when things start to unfold for you. So it's going with my flow as opposed to against the flow. I'm not forcing anything. I'm just putting in the hours, just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Putting in, sacrificing my time and investing into it, and the universe will put in front of you. It mirrors exactly what you deserve. So it's that's absolutely how I believe it happens.
Going into like more broader philosophical questions about music, is there such a thing as bad music or good music for that matter?
I think there is such a thing as technically good. Like at a certain point, it's personal opinion. Like, the best out there, that's always subjective. Like you're never gonna, it's an opinion at the end of the day. Bad music, I say, if you don't take time to mix, balance, master, EQ, yes, that is a bad song because you just threw some bullshit together and then threw it out there like you did something where you just rapped on your cell phone over a track. You can do that. There's no shame to it, but you still need to go in and mix it and balance it as much as you can to give it a cleaner effect. So an aspect like bad as in lazy or half-assed, yes. There are songs that like if technically your sound is good, cool. You can always improve. There's always room for improvement, but outside of that, I don't think there's ever such a thing as a bad song. I may not personally care for it, but I can always, 99.9% of the time, I'll say I can find something good about a song that I like and I can give a positive critique about it,
Yeah. Do you separate art from the artist?
I like to. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to meet, the guys of everything. I don't necessarily want to meet Kanye. I don't want to meet these guys because let me see you how I see you through, my music, your music, excuse me. Let me meet you. I'm like, oh my God, this lyric meant so much to me, blah, blah, blah. And you tell me like, oh yeah, I was drunk one night and wrote this. Like, that's going to lose the charm for me, that's going to kind of, snuff it out. So I like to separate it. Kanye's crazy antics. No, I don't. He's a goofball sometimes. But I can't say that his music didn't inspire me. I can't say that his rhyme schemes inspired me. I can't say that his story didn't inspire me, but I have to separate who he is as a, an artist and who he is as a clown. And they're two different people for sure.
Is there a need for genre at this point anymore?
No. Everything's fluid in life. The universe is fluid. The universe is neither masculine nor feminine, and it is both masculine and feminine. So I think genres force you to stay in a box because say that you built a fan base. I'm like, I'm a rapper and I did all this. And I want to try to sing some R&B one time. Your fan base, you're lucky if you keep that fan base, or you're going to get different fan base, X, Y, and Z. But like, oh, I want rappers. And like, even, the generational divide, like, you heard your old heads that hate that, on rock and rap side, hate that there's rock, rap, and rap rock now and all these different things, but not realizing like, meshing of the genres, like survival of the fittest. Like you're keeping what works for everything, and everything else that doesn't work is gonna die off. If it's good enough, it's gonna stand the test of time. As Darwinism is in everything, evolution is in everything. You have to evolve to keep the species alive. So no, there's no thing. Genres just force people to stay in a mental block and not let them like, hey, I like this really cool. No, but I don't know if people are gonna like that. So they're not doing it, and fuck them. Like if they're not, don't worry about the opinions of those that are not doing more in what you're doing for yourself. Like if they're not, don't even possess the skill, like literally it's an opinion from someone that's just talking out of turn because they don't know what they're talking about. But I would take what you say to heart. I'm like, okay, I would listen to what you say. I would take your advice because you're serious about what you do. So no, there's no need for genre. Let everything be fluid and let it come as it comes, you know?
What's something about you that people don't normally know?
I don't know. People don't normally know. I'm a veteran. I was in the Army for 4 years. I've never been one of those, like, I'm a vet, you know, I want my freedom. I don't, whatever. But yeah, I'm 5th generation military. Come from a deep embedded Baptist military upbringing for sure. So yeah, 5th generation military brat. My brother is currently serving in the Navy. I have cousins, like my uncle just got out of 30 years. My dad did 23. My grandfather did like 20. Long lineage of veterans in my family. So we definitely have a strong heritage in that for sure.
Yeah. I might dig into that deeper, but what advice do you have for people that are wanting to do what you do?
Don't do what I do what you do, you know? But if you're like musician, I honestly just say like don't chase something with the expectations of anything getting out of it. You know, the biggest thing is like if you're doing it because you want to, you know, be a millionaire, you want doing this because you want, you know, some, you know, I guess prize at the end, then you're not in it for the right reasons and you're more than likely not going to make it. Like, let's just be straight up. Like it's not a, you know, it's the reason that 99% of people don't do it is because when they hit their first roadblock, they give up. When they get that first piece of adversity, you know, they give up, quit. Oh, it wasn't for me. But how do you have, you know, an immortalizing story without adversity in your life? Like nobody who has stood the test of time has had a charmed life, you know? So you like, to be honest, like if your heart is telling you and everything and you always have a tune in your heart, specifically musician, then you know that's what you're supposed to do. Do you know that there is no such thing as overnight? Do know that, you know, F social media. Like I do it because let me not say that. F likes and follows and views on social media do not always translate to how your streams are doing. My streams, like, I'm like, cool. I'm, you know, kind of building my fan base, X, Y, and Z. I actually have a bigger fan base overseas ever since I've dropped Habsburg Lip, like Germany, you know, United Kingdom, France, Belgium. Like they're like, I'm really starting to get a fan base over there because of that song, you know, Habsburg from a British band and it's German, a German name. So of course it's going to do well. But it's one of those that if you're not doing, but that came years later. I've been doing this for years. I mean, it's like I've invested the time. Like everything that's happening for me, I've worked for it. Like nothing's like by chance. I'm not shocked at anything that's starting to happen for me. You still have that, you know, in awe effect that, you know, oh my God, it's actually happening for me. But I'm like, I know I've done the work. So, you know, but if you don't have that, like you're willing to be up till 4 a.m. I don't know how many sleepless nights I've gone making music, staying up, recording, doing, you know, making beats, writing songs, you know, just working on marketing, promoting how to get my sound out. You have to become a business to actually be heard and be seen. Because first principles is for a musician or anybody is to be seen, be heard. Everything else that comes is just a bonus. But as long as I'm being seen, eyes are on me, and I'm being heard, people are hearing my music, everything else is going to fall in line, right? Yeah.
Going into the deep questions that make bit depth. Bit depth, what is the role of spirituality or religion in your life?
It's everything, to me, honestly. Spirituality, I mean, on an earthly term, I'm a Taoist. And that just really means I kind of just see life for what it is. You know, the universe is the way, you know, the way, Tao Te Ching, the way, is what it pretty much translates to. And I don't know, it's following I believe in all gods, but you know, I believe in everybody because stay in your lane, stay in your dimension. I'm seeing something else in my dimension than you're seeing in yours. You know, we will never be able to see 100% eye to eye on everything because I'm just going to see it differently than you. But that's the thing about it. Like there's commonality in all religion and everything. Like, you know, I take the spiritual aspects, you know, there is you know, I don't think it's an actual human figure. Absolutely not. I believe that the universe as a whole is inherently good. I believe that as long as you are in a path of righteousness, you are like you reap what you sow. Karma. I truly believe in karma. I do believe if I do something, shitty to someone, I'm gonna get repercut like you deserve, but it's deserved. The universe has to be balanced and the universe is fair. So not really on like a religious aspect, but more of a spiritual, because it's exactly how I look at everything in life, from music to, anything that I honestly want is, am I being truthful? Am I being honest? Am I walking the path that's best for me? I'm not going to ever judge anybody. Like, even when it comes to politics, like I'm pretty, anarchist. I'm like, whatever. I mean, like, I understand very much, I went to school for, history and political science. So I'm very versed on it. History is my favorite subject. So, I'm very knowledgeable on it. I'm knowledgeable enough to the point where I see where everybody's coming from. And I think, everybody has like, I take what I care about and throw away what doesn't serve me, But the biggest thing in spirituality is really just doing what feels correct to you, trying to live by anybody else's standards, anybody else's perceptions in life. You're going to be miserable. We all tried it. We've all done it where, well, I think, this is better for me. They think this is better for me, but, I feel like this is going to do this, but I'm going to do this, appease everyone else. And you're miserable doing it. And you always come back to what you want to do in life. So it's one of those is like, do inherently good and it's going to come back to you. Karma is real.
Hell yeah. What forms of spirituality did you grow up with?
Ooh, that deep Southern Black Baptist, this deep all South, like all like uncles, grandparents, great-grandparents, all reverends, and everything in the church, pastors. I don't know how many. I have a lot of PhDs in my family, and like half of them are in theology. So like big, huge religious upbringing for sure.
How did you get to the Tao from there?
Because my thing is, I can never blindly follow something that I guess I would never blindly follow something, but I can never blindly follow something that I have too many unanswered questions to. There are too many, just contradictions, for me within the Bible. And it's not even the scripture itself, because I can look at it as a story. I'm like, I can tell where, Taoism, Jesus, okay, Jesus, I believe everybody's God, like, because you can control your own destiny. What as above, so below, Hermetic principles tell us that. So anything that I'm feeling is going to manifest into my life. So I can see the spiritual side of you saying God and all this. But the issue is that you put a face figure to it. Now you believe it's an actual being that you're serving, as opposed to serving what's best for yourself, which is a God. So my biggest thing is not even necessarily the scripture, though. It was the people that preach the scripture, the hypocrisy, the ignorance, the closed-mindedness, the, sitting in church for, 8 hours because, Black Baptists love that. And then coming out within 10 minutes just talking shit about people in the congregation. Like, didn't you just sit here and all this, yes, Jesus and all this crap, but you guys are the biggest heathens and modern day Pharisees that I've ever seen in my life. And then like, as a kid, getting in trouble for asking questions that can't be answered in the Bible. As an adult, like, cool, I wasn't wrong on the path that I was on, but I wasn't conforming to your belief system. So I'm incorrect for being out of line or being out of order. Like anything that forces you to suppress your originality, I don't think is good for you. So definitely, honestly, it was the people watching, just vile, and people do it in the name of Jesus, and did this in the name of God and the name of Allah, like all of it. Like you have your extremists on all sides, but unfortunately, as people who are individuals leave religion, who are you left with within religion, as opposed to those people you're trying to leave, So I feel like the more original you become, the stereotype of the church becomes truer,
What is your definition of God?
God translates to Tao for me. Tao is the way, and my lane is specific to me. So God is, you are a God. I'm a God figure. Like you are to everybody's a God figure. Not everyone realizes they have the God power as well.
What is free will?
Free will is, you can honestly do whatever you want, but free will is not the freedom of repercussion. Like, I can go out there and kill somebody today, but cool, doesn't mean I'm not going to get arrested and put on death row. Like, I have the free will to do what I want, but the universe is going to give you 10 times back what you do. So if I go out there and do a good deed, it's going to be multiplied by 10. If I go out there and do shit, it's going to be multiplied by 10. So that's, I mean, you can honestly do whatever you want in life, but are you willing to face the repercussions and the consequences of your actions?
What do you think happens when we die?
I don't think you ever die. Energy is never, or is it never destroyed or created or destroyed? So I believe our conscious mind goes, but our subconscious mind, like, it's infinite. Like, it literally goes nowhere. So I believe that in every conscious life that you have, you go through tests, and tests that you're gonna, like, it's not one that you can skip over then come back to later. You're gonna keep repeating the same test until you finally get the right answer. Until you go against what you've always done and try a different way, you're going to keep getting the same question. So I think in your physical life, you go through so many tests and you elevate so high, whatever. Once you die and you're reincarnated or come back in whatever, time and dimension that you show up in, you start on where you ended in one life. So if I put in, if I've earned 100, steps, if I've passed 100 tests in one life, in my next life, I'm not expecting to go back to step 1 because I've already passed those tests, So I'm going to start at step 100. What am I going to do in that next lifetime? So I really think it's just time is loops. Time is not linear, and it just cycles through like that for infinity.
How do you determine what good behavior is?
What's another synonym for good, I guess? I would say honorable behavior. Let's say, like, there's what is good and bad behavior. You have honorable and dishonorable behavior. I'm not going to go out of my way to disenfranchise. If my belief systems or my actions impede on somebody else's happiness, then I'm doing something dishonorable. If I stay in my lane, if you need my help, I'm going to be a helpful human. I'm going to do what I can for you. But at the same, like, if I'm doing inherently good, that would be good. But there is honorable and dishonorable acts, So yeah, I mean, what is your heart's intentions? If you're doing it in the attempt to deceive or hurt or do something to someone, then you're probably doing bad shit. If that's not you want to believe the best in everybody and you're going to put good out regardless of the shitty people, then I guess that's, doing a good thing, Yeah.
How do we reduce the division between people?
Conversations like this, man. As we've seen in recent history, we got all tribes. We got whites, blacks, trans, gay. Everybody's tribed up and clicked up, and everybody has their own opinions about everything. And we're just going to keep agreeing within our own same group that we're right about shit and fuck them, right? Shout out millennials. But man, that's my generation. I love us though. But the issue is that you don't have representation with people like me. I am trans, I am black, and I am an alternative musician, so it starts with having people as spokesmen, like unofficial, whatever, but having those people that, like, I do have specific missions. I am doing this intentionally. I didn't have anybody really to look up to when I was a kid. Chaz Bono, Cher's son. I don't know if you remember that. That was the first trans person I've ever heard of, and didn't even know what that was growing up, but I always knew I was never comfortable in my own skin. I always knew that I was different, but I just didn't know until later. So, I'm now 32. I'm considered technically an OG when it comes to, trans rights and, actual, representation and, actual a spotlight on these issues. This has only happened within like the last 5 years, So I was all pre that time. But the issue is that you don't have enough people that are, like you said, we don't need genres anymore. Everything needs to be fluid. You don't have enough people that are fluid within more than one demographic. Yeah, I'm black, trans, cool, but I grew up in Polynesian cultures. My father was stationed in San Diego, so I grew up eating luau's, pigs off of spit roast. Polynesians, Hawaiians, and go up to Seattle. It's predominantly white culture. And being military, I've had Thanksgiving with Iraqi families that fled before the collapse of Iraq before the war. So I've been lucky enough to be able to meet different people from such different backgrounds of life that I've been able to hear different experiences and different points of views and different things like that. But also being who I am as just a living human out here, there's not enough people like me, doing what I'm doing to be able to get rid of that division. So the more that people are inspired to chase their dream and goal, you're going to have a platform. I'm starting to get a voice. People are starting to listen to the things that I'm saying, and I'm starting to become an influencer where people are like, you know what? I never thought of it like this. Or, something like, okay, that's a different perspective. I'm like, you know what? I'm typically, you could have been, a lot of ignorant, bigoted people have become my friends over the years, just because your prejudice against a certain demographic doesn't necessarily hold true until you shake hands with somebody and just break bread with them, So it needs to start with having those uncomfortable conversations. Like I'm one of those where, even my people, I got to play devil's advocate for cis people, trans people, it's one of those things that, you do feel like there's a mark on your back. So it's hard to, be open and comfortable with those conversations. Me, I'm like, okay, cool. My Sifu, Bradley West out of Norman, he taught me 8 years ago, it's like, just because of who you are, you need to learn how to defend yourself. So he sat there for years. I had a one-on-one like Daniel's son. I didn't go to a school. I had a specific Sifu who I was his only student, and he taught me to be a better version of himself as a martial artist. And he's been doing it for 15, 20 years on that. So, I feel like a lot of trans people live in stealth. A lot of trans people just want to hide. Like, why are you hiding who you are? Be proud of who you are. Be proud, stand up tall. If this is who you want to live as, and you need to be this person, that comes with the good and bad, but the more that you know yourself, you can have those conversations. I don't get offended unless you're specifically like, hey, Xander, fuck you. I don't get offended. Like, it's just like, you may not realize you're being ignorant. That's when we have to have this open dialogue and conversation on, hey, typically, it's addressed like this or X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to make someone feel bad for trying to learn, but at the same time, you don't know you're being ignorant until you have those conversations, until you can learn. So it all starts with inclusion, bro.
Yeah. Amazing.
Just saying.
Do you believe humans are evil by nature?
No, because it goes back to, I believe the universe is inherently good. So, out of the trillions of sperms, we're the ones that made it. I, just had this thought the other day. We're for the ones that are here because we can change the outcourse of mankind. Every person that has been born. I feel like going back to free will, I feel like people's experiences shape who they are. I feel like at a certain point, people either succumb like, well, this happened to me, so fucking I'm going to be a bastard. Or you're going to have people, that have been abused, like, I'm going to overcome in spite of this. So it really comes down to what side of the token do you want to be on? It's just the same spectrum, but it's just a different side. So I don't think people are born bad. No, absolutely not. I feel like life experiences make them feel that they don't have another way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think humanity is heading towards in the future?
We're going to Mars. Mankind is going to Mars. Gosh. I mean, I actually think in a weird way, like, yeah, it's craziness going on in the world, but at the same time, you can't heal what's not exposed. So everything's being exposed right now. All of it. We're exposing everything. Cool. This is messed up. This has been fucked up for years. We're exposing everything right now. Because how can you heal? Think about the millennials and Gen Z. This is a woke generation. Like, I know people say woke, but woke is realizing that this is not the way. Woke realizes that we can still do better. Woke is realizing that, hey, things are messed up and I have a voice to change it and actually making that change. So I feel like with these newer generations, mankind is going on the right path. But you have to let old ideas, like, again, evolution, old ideas are going to eventually die out with the people that have those stupid ideas and they're not keeping on. You see people walking away from their ignorant, bigoted, racist families. You see people taking a stance. You see people starting to actively and vocally become allies now. So you're like, well, this is unacceptable. And no, this is like that going back to, what is good and what is bad. You have people that are ignorant, don't know how to change, and you have those that see the ignorance, But I feel like people are starting to realize there's self-worth and that, we need to band together. And it's really, you see the division. It's really an age group. Like, I would say I was born in November of 89, so I'm definitely an older millennial, but I would say 30, 32 down to, these teenagers. I feel like out of history, we are the two generations that have been most like willing and like, we work together. It's not all to, Gen X, millennial or boomers, and you have, the greatest generation, the lost. Nobody cares about that. Like, yeah, it's just an age thing, but we're all kind of, steering towards the same thought pattern. That's we want to make the world a better place,
Mm-hmm. What makes you optimistic about our future?
It's all about manifestation, bro. Like, if I think the world is going to be doomed, then in my dimension, it is going to be doomed. And like Hellstorm and all this, like, it's honestly like in my world, I see that good trumps evil every single time. The universe is gonna, if it's a lot, even you see with natural disasters, this is all happening because Mother Earth needs to recorrect and recalibrate herself again. Stock markets, we see crypto crashing, it's just recalibrating and it's gonna shoot right back up. So everything kind of has that recalibrating, moment. But it's evolution, the strongest will survive and good will always out trump evil,
Cool. What makes you content?
I don't ever like being content, to be honest. My guilty pleasures, I would say. I like to game. I got the video game a little bit. I don't know, man. I'm all about the music. Like that's how I'm content, is like kind of when I'm in my element. Like when I'm physically, I wouldn't say like writing or working on marketing. That's more like, oh, this is the business side, but it needs to be done. But like actually getting in there and like, oh my God, this is a chord that I really like. Like I want to build something. I feel like that's when I'm content, when I feel like I'm actually making forward progress in my craft, But that's honestly what brings me peace. But like we love to binge watch, we me and my girl, we definitely we have our shows, Ozarks on right now. We have our few things that we like to do. We like to go out. We like to just go down to, the art district in the Paseo. There's some cool graffiti art down in that area. Just go out there at times, just get in nature, just kind of just step away from technology, train together, stuff like that. I don't like going out clubbing, really. I don't like doing any of that. It's not benefiting me in any way as a person. I got all that out back in the day, but I'm definitely, whenever I'm just doing stuff that makes me feel at peace, I'm good, Yeah.
When will you be satisfied?
I feel like there's going to be a point where, like, I would say honestly, I maybe honestly have 20 years left in music, like 20 years, but like it's a relatively short amount of time, But I feel like once there's a legacy, I'm chasing a legacy, and it's not even, whatever awards are going to come, all that stuff's going to come. I'm going to get like all that, but like realizing that a Grammy can be bought, Billboard placement can be bought, that stuff doesn't mean anything. I'm like, how many people can I influence to change the world? If I've had young trans kids all over the world message me, bro, I love your music. Like, thank you for doing this. Like, oh my gosh, I get those messages already, bro. And I'm just at the beginning of everything that I'm doing. But I don't know. I feel like I have an internal story that I'm telling. I'm still trying to find out that story, but I feel like I'm going to know when it's time to like pivot. Like, okay, I'm done more of the music side, but look at Mr. Carter, he became a mogul after that. Like, this is not the end of it. This is just what I want to do for the next 20 years. And then I'm going to shift into something else. But my story doesn't end until I die, bro. And as long as I'm alive, I'm still writing it, right?
Yeah. What advice do you have for people in general?
Honestly, like, it's stop worrying about what others are doing. Get off social media every now and again. Like, for reals, like, it's literally designed to keep you distracted so you're not chasing your dreams. It's a fucked up algorithm, and knowing how to use it correctly can be a good thing, but stop getting like get off of Facebook. Like, it's like, get off, stop arguing with people that you're never gonna meet, never gonna know. And just go do something that makes you happy. Like, what have you been avoiding? What are things like, oh, I wish I could do this? Like, just go live your life. Go find out who you are. Most people don't know who they are because they don't ever really look for who they are. What do you want to do? Have you always, wanted to be a filmmaker, but everybody discouraged you? Just go out and shoot a little movie. Go see what it makes you like. Does it make you feel something that nothing else in life is making you feel? Like, just go find yourself and get off the freaking internet.
Yeah. How did your time in the military affect your spiritual views?
I don't really think it did, to be honest. I mean, because it's such a different world. Like, it's routine. And definitely some of that is still stuck with me. Like, I'm like, I need a certain routine in my life so I can function. I think honestly, the most that I got out of the military was discipline. There's a saying that we used to say, and it's called embrace the suck. So like, this is the worst situation I've been out, where I've been drenched on, had to sleep out in the fields, digging tools and holes in the ground to use the bathroom, like living like a bear out there. I've done, had to walk, 16K ruck march, with a crazy amount of weight on your back. So that's over 10, 12 miles right there. And we did I hate my life so much, but you got to do it anyways, embracing the suck. You got to push through these adversities, because on the other side, look, you're graduating now, you're a soldier. So spirituality, it wasn't like there's a chaplain. They definitely gave time on Sundays, to, if you're religious, you can go to church, kind of a chiller day where you didn't have to wake up till 7, which was nice. But no, I feel like people specifically find spirituality more. I feel like people are away from home a lot, and a lot of times, like, we're younger. I was just turned 21, I think, when I joined. So first time really like away from home. And people, I guess, find comfort in reading the Bible. People going off to war, stuff like that. They do want to find a higher power that believes that they're looking over them, I guess, in that sense, or have belief that, hey, I'm protected where I go. I guess I could have seen that more than the actual military itself. I think the military experience more pushes spirituality for people, for sure.
How did it change just your view of the world?
Man, I realized that a lot of people don't have direction, and I don't know. It showed me that you are capable of a lot more than you realize, physically, emotionally, because it is like, you show the videos of drill sergeant shark attacking you. Yes, that is real. That shit is real. And it's terrifying. You're never in a stressful situation like this before. Like, but again, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to face some sort of adversity to be able to be a stronger person. So I feel like people are so scared to like do something that's different. It makes them uncomfortable. Like, you stepping outside of your element to just see what could possibly be out there. People love living in this little box that they made for themselves, but unfortunately, you can't really expand within that little realm that you've put yourself in. But it just shows that people don't realize what they're capable of. I didn't realize what I was capable of before boot. Like, you had to rappel off a 100+ foot wall and doing all this crazy stuff that I'm like, oh my God, I have a fear of heights, all this, but I still had to do it anyway. I still did it anyway. So you can have the fear, but you still, that shouldn't stop you from trying something different. Now I have that sort. Cool. I've done that. I've done these cool things that no one, honestly, most people will never get to experience. So it's just a lack of, but it could also be an ignorance to not realize that they just don't realize it, I guess. I don't know. They just don't know they don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
What has being trans taught you about the world?
Being trans taught you about the world. Well, honestly, the biggest thing is that I am a poster child for there are no excuses. That what excuse can you honestly tell me on why you're not chasing your dream? What can you tell me? Well, like, honestly, what can someone tell me? That what adversity can you overcome? Some people, I'm not gonna say they're lucky, but they have the benefit of, things that they struggle with kind of being, behind scenes. Me, I'm black trans every day of my life. So like, what excuse do you have to not chase your dream? Like, you can come up with 1,000 of them, but they're never going to be good excuses. So it's definitely showed me that. It showed me that people's opinions can be changed. I don't know how many people that, I've really, it's not like, science and blah, 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 biology of being trans, but it's just like, there's more to it than just that side of it. It's being comfortable in your own skin. It's realizing that even within this community, there's still prejudice, and there's still, like, just because I'm black and trans, being a white trans man is still better than being a black trans man. So you have to remember, totem pole wise, I'm not very high on anything, and I'm a musician. What? No, So totem pole wise on this hierarchy that whoever put in place whenever, I shouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. I should not be having the opportunities that are, coming for me and are ahead of me. Like, my future is absolutely freaking bright. So that shows you that hard work beats, anything wishful thinking. There's no such thing as luck. It's something that you have done in your past that your karma points have let you experience this moment in life. I do not believe in luck at all. But it shows you that hard work trumps all. It shows you that if you are living your truth, and then people are going to accept you regardless. I'm 100% living my truth every single day. I'm not ashamed of who I am. Cool, if you got issues, I'm like, bro, remember, like, I have 2 black belts and a brown sash. Like, if you really have an issue with it, like, I know how to defend myself. I'm not walking around scared in life. I'm not. I'm definitely a firm believer of, any, minority group to learn some sort of self-defense, because there's going to always be some sort of retard. There's always going to be some ignorant asshole out there that just hates you for existing, and I've learned that, my I don't have to validate my existence to anybody. I'm comfortable having these conversations, but just because someone's trans, they don't have to explain themselves to you. They don't have to. That's their right to not sit there and have those conversations. Me, I'm choosing to. So cool. Let's, talk away about it. But at the same time, I could start hormones and not start hormones. It doesn't validate me as a man one way or another, top surgery, not like it. And those are kind of things within the community that, hey, somebody's more passing, I have my beard and everything. I'm a passing trans man. There's some guys that haven't started hormone that still have softer features, that still, that still go through that, oh my God, I don't want to be misgendered, all these things, X, Y, and Z. But what I realized, again, even before I started hormones, I was very seldomly misgendered. I had more of an androgynous look anyways. But if you're living your truth and not like, oh my God, I'm a man, I'm walking around like I'm a man, like, people are going to see that you're trying to perpetrate something. You're over exaggerating, you're overcompensating something. I just do me, and I've always, before, not at all ever since I've started hormones, and before maybe 97, 98% of the time I was never misgendered. So that's more for my queer individuals. Stop worrying about what other people think. Who cares? And okay, now what? That's all. You just wanted to tell me your opinion, your unsolicited opinion. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I really, oh my God, I can't over exaggerate how much I don't care about unsolicited opinions about something you don't know. I can beat you logically. I can beat you physically. I can beat, I win. I don't, me just glowing up and keep shining is a checkmate on everything. I don't have to engage in this bullshit. I'm just going to keep doing me, and I'm going to keep on glowing.
Hell yeah.
That's what you got to do, bro.
Lastly, potentially most importantly, cake or pie?
Cake. Cake.
Damn quick.
Man, I am not a pie person. Cake.
What is best cake?
My favorite cake is yellow cake with chocolate frosting. I'm a basic bitch when it comes to that.
The first time I've heard that one.
I'm telling you, it's just something. I think it's nostalgia probably. I had it all the time growing up as a kid. I'm like, it's just the perfect balance of yellow cake and chocolate frosting. Yeah.
Thank you, Betty Crocker.
Yeah, thank you, Betty. Shoo.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. Where can people find you and your stuff?
Oh, for sure, man. Thank you for having me. Xantheartist.com. That's XAN, the artist, all one word. Everything on social. I'm the first and the only Xantheartist out there. So Xantheartist, you can find me. I got some new music dropping. Been working on a few songs since last year. So definitely just want to get final touches. I'm going to be dropping some new music here, but definitely check out my catalog. I think y'all going to like it. And I appreciate you for having me on the show, man. I appreciate you, Santiago.
Of course.
You, bro.
Yeah, no. Thank you, for real. I hit you up not even that long ago. It's oh yeah, let's meet up in person.
Bro,
right?
Those are serious or you're not serious. I'm serious about this, right? People you got to make the moves if you want the moves to happen, right?
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, bro.
Well, thank you so much. Once again, I'm Santiago Ramones.
Xantheartist.
And now here's Habsburg Lip, originally by Everything, as covered by Xantheartist.
No making it easy now, no making excuses now. No matter whose bombs on your bus, they're making examples of us. Fuck your brother on the helipad, if he said he's not a deadbeat dad. I told you I'm a highwayman, but your money isn't worth a damn. coming up steam right through. What happens to the gene pool now? Keep talking but it won't come out. Still learning how to walk, how to speak. Still learning how to use your beak. Still working on Maggie's fun. Still working with a robot on. I'm checking your name on my list. I'm checking your name on my list. I'm making up a reason to exist. I'm checking your name on my list. You don't think your wife is worth a lot. Now I'm telling you your life's worth the yacht. No matter who's naive in the dark. No matter who's no master. Kiss me baby with your Asperger lip. Make me nervous. No master. Kiss me baby with your Asperger lip. Make me nervous. No master. Come to the river now. Pick yourself a body bag. Tell me all about your day. No master. Kiss me baby with your Asperger lip. Make me nervous. No master. No making it easy now, no making excuses now. No matter who's bombs on your bus, they're making examples of us. Fuck your brother to hell, it bad. If he said he's not a deadbeat dad, I told you I'm a highwayman. But your money isn't worth a damn. I'm coming up Cleveland too. You're coming up steam right through. What happens to the gene pool now? Keep talking but it won't come out. Still learning how to walk, how to speak. Still learning how to use your beak. Still working on Maggie's fun. Still working with the robot on. I'm checking your name on my list. I'm checking your name on my list. I'm making up a reason to exist. I'm checking your name on my list. You're thinking that the wife is worth a lot. I'm telling you the life's worth a yacht. No matter who's knife in the dark. Still waking with a robot on. I'm checking your name on my list. I'm checking your name on my list. I'm making up a reason to exist. I'm checking your name on my list. Kiss me baby with your Asperger lip. Make me nervous. No master. Kiss me baby with your Asperger lip. Make me nervous. No master. Come to the river now. Pick yourself a body bag. Tell me all about your day. No master. Kiss me baby with your Asperger lip. Make me nervous. No master. If all the bells and all the lands are waiting for a toll, why don't you raise your guillotine? If all the bells and all the land are waiting for a toll, why don't we raise our Tell me all about your day. Kiss me baby with your Asperger lip. Make me nervous. No master.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I make music and produce audio. The music you're hearing now is music I made. You can listen to official releases by Santiago Ramones on Spotify, Apple Music, and the other streaming places. Or you can buy it on Bandcamp because a single purchase is the monetary equivalent of streaming it all day, every day for about a week. I'm working on an album, so if you'd like to hear that at some point, you can buy my music or you can support me on Patreon. There's a Discord server in which we discuss deep topics from the podcast, but it's also a community of beautiful human beings. All the links to all my things are on my website, santiagoramones.com. If you like the podcast, leave comments on social media, leave reviews saying how much you like the podcast, and tell your friends about it. I want to help the world have deeper conversations. So thank you for listening to and supporting BitDepth. I always end the podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.